are a necessary part of our lives. For beef, for dairy, for hugging therapy? The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that a barn in Missouri is offering cow hugging therapy as a way to cope. The Gentle Barn, one of 3 founded by Ellie Lax and her husband, has offered cow hugging therapy for 2 decades in California and now has additional locations in Missouri and Tennessee. "We've been doing cow hug therapy with people in real crisis," said Miss Lax. She added, "But magically in the barnyard among the animals and in those cow hugs, it kind of would reset them, open them up, and help them be vulnerable and allow them to progress in regular therapy." Scientific studies of animal-assisted therapy have increased over the past 2 decades, but few focus on farm animals, says Gretchen Carlisle, a research scientist at the Research Center for Human-Animal Interaction at the University of Missouri's Veterinary College. She noted a 2011 study that did find improvement in psychiatric patients who had work-related tasks connected to dairy cattle. There are 5 steers, or male cows, at the Missouri location of the Gentle Barn, named Chico, Eddie, Houdini, Johnny Cash, and Roo. They had gained fame locally after escaping a St. Louis slaughterhouse and leading police on pursuits that stretched over 5 hours. Eventually, they made their way to the Gentle Barn, where they've been unknowingly aiding humans ever since just by being a cow. In Missouri, 1-hour sessions for 1 or 2 people cost $200, or you can book 2-hour tours for up to 20 people for $400. The sessions are for those 14 and up, and whether the cows decide to lie down or not is entirely up to them. Now, if only they could get people to pay to clean up after the cows, then they'd be onto something.
It's often said that elephants never forget and have great memories, which makes sense since they've got the biggest brain of all land mammals. But for one woman in India, that great memory may have been her undoing. The Print reports that 70-year-old Maya Murmu not only lost her life, but her corpse also felt the wrath of a wild elephant. Murmu was reportedly collecting water from a well in her village when she was attacked by an elephant who strayed from the Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary. The elephant trampled her, after which she was taken to a hospital where she succumbed to her injuries. That evening, as her family members were performing her last rites, the same elephant suddenly appeared. It again trampled her dead body, threw it, and fled. The animal did not harm or attack anyone else. Although generally considered gentle giants, elephant attacks on humans have risen in India in recent decades. As many as 3,300 people have been killed in attacks by wild elephants in the country in the last 7 years, according to government data. Tragic story and all, but are you thinking what I'm thinking? Something happened with Maya Murmu and that elephant, and he never forgot.
Reuters reports that New Zealand has released a draft plan to put a price on agricultural emissions in a bid to tackle one of the country's biggest sources of greenhouse gases, cow and sheep farts and burps. The proposal would make New Zealand, a large agricultural exporter, the first country to have farmers pay for emissions from livestock. The country, which is home to 5 million people, has about 10 million cattle and 26 million sheep. According to Live Science, billions of tiny bacteria hang out in the intestines to help digestion. In the process, bacteria release smelly gases like methane, which cause belching and flatulence. Methane is a greenhouse gas that traps heat from the sun more than 20 times as efficiently as carbon dioxide, thereby contributing to climate change. Nearly half of New Zealand's total greenhouse gas emissions come from agriculture, mainly methane. But agricultural emissions have previously been exempted from the country's emissions trading scheme. But under this draft plan, farmers will have to pay for their gas emissions starting in 2025. The proposal includes incentives for farmers who reduce emissions through feed additives, while on-farm forestry can be used to offset emissions. Revenue from the scheme will be invested in research, development, and advisory services for farmers. I guess expecting the animals to eat slowly, avoid carbonated drinks, or not chew gum probably isn't going to work in this case.
too many stories about people leaving their children in a hot car, and it's always surprising that after many years and many tragedies, people still haven't figured things out. But the Animal Humane Society in Minnesota reported a very different story about living beings inside a hot car. They reported that AHS agents removed not 1, not 5, not 10, but 47 cats from the sweltering heat inside a vehicle at a rest stop near Harris, Minnesota. The 47 cats were released to AHS by their owner, who had been living with them in the vehicle for some time. 14 other cats who had also been living in the car were released to a local rescue organization previously. The cats released to AHS ranged in age from less than a year to more than 12 years old. Despite the extreme heat and unsanitary conditions inside the vehicle, most of the cats seemed to have only minor medical issues. Once any medical and behavior issues were addressed, the cats were to be sterilized and made available for adoption. According to the Bitty Kitty Brigade, the Twin Cities in Minnesota have seen a spike in feral cats on the street. They believe the pandemic is to blame, as the cats in the colonies couldn't get spayed or neutered because veterinary offices were closed. At least in this case, the cats in the car were somewhat taken care of. But still, 47 cats? I imagine they had no scratching posts in there. Anyway, they're safe, so happy ending. Bye for meow.
If you want to see all our videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, click the subscribe button below. I mean, hey, my cat's gotta eat.